So first off, sorry if you don't like the music, but I do, and I think it goes nicely with my Raven theme for today. So today is supposed to be based on the Raven, and it's supposed to be Gothic. Now, Gothic isn't something that I would normally gravitate towards unless I was specifically wanting to do a Halloween journal, which I've never done before, but I think now that I've been doing a bit of this journaling type of things, I might just get into it. So I found some images of some ravens in a book on Australian birds. I had no idea that ravens were actually in Australia. I thought we just had magpies and crows, but we have ravens. So I've cut those images out and I'm just collaging the background on some, it's like watercolor paper, so it's quite thick. Really nice paper. So I'm making some journaling cards, 3 journaling cards today. So when I heard that the theme was Raven, the first thing I thought of was The Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors episode where they recite the poem The Raven. I'd never heard that poem until I saw that episode, but I really like it. I think it's my favourite Halloween episode. So I did a bit of research on the poem today, and it was written by Alan Edgar Poe, which people may know. I didn't know that till today, who wrote it. And he had a very interesting life story. So it was written in 1845, and he, at the time, was very well known for writing like sort of horror kind of stories and mystery detective kind of stories and things like that. So The Raven was a poem that he wrote, and it was pretty much the first piece of writing that he actually became fairly well known for. So interesting. I watched a few YouTube videos about him and a few videos on the Raven poem, and I've actually got a little bit of the Raven poem that someone hand wrote, and I've printed that out, and I stick a little bit of the poem on each of the cards. So the other thing I was inspired by today was I discovered Katerina Giglio. I'm sure lots of people already would know her, but if you don't, what I'll do is I'll put the link to her video down below, because my direct inspiration for the style of cards I'm doing today has come from her, and you'll see that even though they're a little bit different, they're actually, I've used some similar ideas that Katerina used for a project she did for Somerset Sew magazine several years ago, where she made what she called, I think she called them antique bird quilts, I think she called them, and they were cards. So you'll see I've taken some direct ideas from her. So I'll just let you watch for a little while I lay down the backgrounds, and I'm going for a neutral tea-dyed kind of background, and then I'm going to have some elements of black and red as well to go with the Gothic theme, although my cards aren't too Gothic, I must say. So the cards are all done with the collaging, and now here's the main part that I was influenced by Katerina. So on her cards, she basically framed them with a running stitch. So I've decided to do the same thing. As Katerina has suggested, I'm using a book awl to perforate the holes along the side, just because it would be really impossible to get a needle through this thick paper that it's actually like cardboard that I'm using. So I go all the way around with my book awl and then I'll start stitching. Alright, so it's time to start stitching. I'm using a black DCM thread. I'm using all six strands because I want it to be thick. And I don't tie a knot in the end, just like Katerina did. She doesn't tie a knot at all, but I do tie a knot at the end once I'm done. So I just have to leave a bit of a tail and hold it. So really simple running stitch the whole way around. I'll just let you watch a little bit and then I'll speed it up or cut it out a bit so you don't have to watch it all because it takes a while. Alright, so I'm getting to the end of the first card and I've left a little gap there just so I can see where to put the hole so that it's kind of even. I did that on purpose. So just putting in the last hole, threading it through, and now what I'll do is I'll tie a knot with those two strings. So just trimming off the ends, and then I use PVA just to stick those threads down so that they don't sort of hang out and look silly or ugly. So I just stick them down so it's nice and neat. And here's what it looks like. I think it frames it really nicely. The holes aren't perfectly even, but for my second and third card, I had the idea to use my little hole punching thing. And it was so quick and it makes all my stitching even. I should have thought of that in the first place. So I just line up the holes, do them all the way around the four sides, and then I stitch it. So I've finished stitching the second card, and now this is the third one that I'm just about to finish off. And I come through, tie it off again into a knot. I do 3 knots just to make sure it's secure, and then I'll stick it down with the PVA glue. So all 3 cards are done and framed with the black stitching thread. And on the back, I did have some lines drawn on the back. I've rubbed them out with a rubber, and that would be a nice journaling space. So I hope you like them, and I will see you again tomorrow.